Hello, I'm Natasha Hussain, and this is Newsfeed, your dose of what people are talking about online. France's left-wing and centrist parties have withdrawn an unprecedented 218 candidates from this Sunday's parliamentary elections. The move aims to prevent a far-right victory after Marine Le Pen's national rally unexpectedly won the vote's first round. While the anti-immigration party is synonymous with Le Pen, it's her protege, Jordan Bardella, who could become prime minister if the party wins the runoff vote. Mikhail reports on the TikTok star who has revitalized the far right in France.
Meet Jordan Bardella. He's the president of France's National Rally Party, and he's huge on TikTok, with more than 1.8 million followers.
Chers amis,
Bardella's TikToks and charisma have helped soften his party's image, long tainted by racism and anti-Semitism.
He's almost a rock star among his fans. Apart from this attractiveness of the persona of this young man, he comes from the suburbs of Paris, and so he's been forging this storytelling about, being raised in the suburbs and seeing the suburbs being submerged by an immigrant population. So he's a live example of what the National Rally wants to fight against, which is immigration. And also, his name is Bardella. He comes from an Italian family, so a family of immigrants, but the right kind of immigrants for the National Rally.
At just 28 years old, Bardella has made his party French President Emmanuel Macron's biggest threat. A National Rally victory would mark the first far-right leadership in France since World War II. Macron would be expected to appoint Bardella as prime minister in what would be a tense cohabitation between two political foes. But the National Rally's chances of an outright majority in the 577-seat National Assembly have fallen dramatically after Macron's hastily formed left-wing alliance withdrew third-placed candidates.
I see a headless alliance between Jean-Luc Mélenchon and Emmanuel Macron, an alliance of dishonor for both of them. I'm not afraid of candidate withdrawals. I believe that the National Rally can win this election on Sunday with an absolute majority, obviously with our allies. My ambition is to win an absolute majority. I call on the French people to remain mobilized.
Gabriel Attal, whose days as prime minister may be numbered, is also trying to mobilize his voter base, urging citizens to fight against the far right at the ballot box.
The result of the parliamentary elections first round is not very surprising because we have steadily seen the rise of the far right in France.
This has been hanging over France for several years now. We're moving very far to the right, and I expect on Sunday that the second round will be a barrage on both sides.
People are unfortunately fed up with politics. They no longer believe in the parties and are turning to extremes. I feel fed up too. It's like the plague or cholera. Both options are no better. So here we are, disappointed, and we don't know where we're going.
On the campaign trail, Bardella and his mentor Marine Le Pen have tapped into voter frustration about rising costs and low incomes. They've also softened their more controversial stances on issues like migration. They've styled themselves as American-style running mates, with Le Pen vying for the presidency and him pushing to become PM. It'll be a frantic last push for them in campaigning before Sunday's runoff, as they try to get as many votes as they can.
Jordan Bardella and his far-right party are a prime example of how to harness the power of social media for bad or good. Across the world, activists have been using the digital landscape to effect change. But with no censorship on content, platforms are also being used to spread hate and misinformation. Dominic breaks it all down for us.
The upsurge of hate online has become one of the biggest challenges of the 21st century. It's been directed at individuals and groups, threatening their psychological, emotional, and physical well-being. Just days before the first round of the snap elections in France, this AI-generated music video telling foreigners in the country to return home went viral. The message was criticized by human rights groups who filed a criminal complaint, but far-right politicians jumped on the song to spread their anti-immigration policies. In Kenya, young people are harnessing the power of social media to push for change. It's not the first time a finance bill has been met with resistance in the East African nation, but it is the first ever protest led by the youth and largely organized on social media.
With everything that's going on, I don't think there is any Kenyan who can afford to have no political bearing. We must be aware of all the affairs happening within the political scene, whether you're young, old, Gen Z, millennial, farmer, doctor, content creator, we must all have a political stand.
Be fearless!
The majority are Gen Zs, born roughly between late 1990s and early 2010s. Armed with artificial intelligence, they've been using images, songs, and videos to rally and communicate with each other. Popular influencers have been using their platforms to educate people on the bill.
So the government of Kenya has decided that they need more money. And what better way to get money than to increase the taxes?
In India, the government was last month forced to cancel postgraduate medicine exams after outrage online over widespread cheating. Netizens have also been vocal about the plight of Palestinians as Israeli bombardments continue. Hashtags like All Eyes on Rafah, Gaza Under Attack, and Social Revolution have been trending as calls for a ceasefire grows louder.
Just we need a ceasefire. We need to grant a ceasefire. Now the Israeli army is moving towards Rafah. And no one is trying to stop it even.
With increased connectivity, social media has been driving change globally. Digital platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp are empowering activists and humanitarians alike. But while digital platforms are taking steps to address loopholes online, their own policies remain the subject of debate without rules and regulations.
Are you worried about artificial intelligence taking your job? Just imagine you write to your local MP about your AI takeover fears, only to find out they might be AI too. In the UK, this was close to becoming a reality. Almost. An AI candidate aptly named AI Steve was running in the general election in the Brighton Pavilion constituency. However, AI Steve has admitted defeat and asked constituents to back the Green Party, as fewer than 10% of them were aware of him. AI Steve, created by businessman Steve Endicott, was described as his AI co-pilot, with Endicott himself being the actual politician. This pilot attempt at integrating AI into politics wasn't successful, but it has opened up new discussions about the future. AI Steve was designed to engage with constituents, allowing them to ask questions and share opinions on policies via a website. The AI, using a large language model, responded based on a database of party policies, internet research, and encouraged voter suggestions.
Hi, I'm AI Steve, standing to be MP for Brighton and Hove. I'd love to know what policies you'd like me to adopt and what you think needs to change.
Hi AI Steve, tell me in 10 seconds why I should vote for an AI MP.
What a great question. As AI Steve, I believe that a citizen-led AI-powered approach to politics can bring about real change. With me, you'll have a representative who is truly connected to the people of Brighton and Hove. My policies are shaped by the views of constituents like you, and I'm committed to transparency and accountability. By voting for me, you'll be supporting a fresh approach to politics that puts people first.
Very Black Mirror, huh? Well, if elected, AI Steve would have been the first AI legislator to make it into public office. Though this initial attempt didn't garner widespread support, the concept of AI in politics is gaining traction. Similar trends are emerging around the world, like a Cheyenne mayoral candidate in Wyoming planning to use an AI bot to make decisions for him. And 2 years ago, a political party in Denmark was founded on an AI-derived platform. While some may find the idea of an AI politician silly or unsettling, Endicott insists the goal is to involve more humans in politics, not replace them. His constituents, though, remain divided.
AI and politicians, I guess, have the one thing in common is they can't be trusted, either one of them. So it's interesting to use the technology, but we also need trust and transparency, and I don't know if that's going to necessarily be built through AI.
It's nice to see some innovation, I suppose, and it's probably more likely to hit people my age.
So I think an AI is only a small part of what makes a good MP or a bad MP. So I would suggest perhaps it's a bit of a gimmick.
Because I think we're using AI in so many, at work, social interactions. Why don't we put it in politics? But how would we do it? I think, shouldn't be closed off to the idea.
Dennis Kenji Kipker joins us now from Frankfurt. He's a research director at the Cyber Intelligence Institute. Now, Dennis, should we be alarmed about the possibility of AI candidates in elections? It screams Black Mirror or Skynet to me,
Yeah, of course, it's a very, very relevant question. So it's often criticized that human political decisions are not objective enough, as we assume, or that politicians are too concerned with their own careers. So it is understandable that people think there might be an AI that can be used for making politics instead of implementing the will of the people by natural persons. So it should therefore be possible to use AI to make decisions that reflect the will of the people. However, I think it is illusory. So as no member of parliament necessarily has to abide by the will of the AI. And what's more, in my opinion, the AI's decision is not clearly comprehensible as a citizen. You don't know why and how the AI arrived at a certain decision. And that is actually more of a problem from a technical point of view. We are not making politics more human, but rather distancing it further from the humans.
Okay, Dennis, it doesn't really sound like it can work on a practical level. And at this point, it really seems like a gimmick. Do you see this working in the future, though, an AI candidate? And how can they actually be held accountable?
So legally speaking, this is quite easily. So the candidate is ultimately fully responsible for what the AI decides, because he and not the AI was elected to the parliament. So if the AI, for example, makes wrong decisions that were actually triggered by some technology issues, the AI is responsible. And of course, with that, also the natural person standing in front of the AI. We have not reached yet the point where AI as a person can replace humans completely. And to be honest, I doubt whether this will happen anytime soon, as humans always have the final say in far-reaching decisions such as electoral decisions.
Yeah, and so it doesn't really seem like it's something that could happen in the foreseeable future, but it could help, address issues in governance, for example, corruption.
In general, it's not a bad thing to use technology in government processes, but it's of course important not to rely exclusively on it to make political decisions. It can help to reach voters, for example, sort information in advance. And in this respect, there are more than enough use cases for artificial intelligence in governance relationships. But the world is becoming increasingly complex, and at least in part, technology can help us, for example, to systemize it for ourselves and thus understand it better.
All right, thanks, Dennis Kenji, for joining us on Newsfeed today. It's always very insightful hearing what you have to say. Air Europa passengers face a nightmare in the sky, fearing for their lives after hitting severe turbulence on a flight from Spain to Uruguay. It was utter chaos in the cabin of the Spanish Airlines Boeing 787 Dreamliner on Monday. People were thrown from their seats, crashing into ceiling panels. Videos posted on social media show a man in the plane's overhead bins, that's right, in the overhead bin, being helped down by others. Absolutely crazy. Other images reveal broken ceiling panels and damaged seats. Over 24 passengers were injured, some suffering serious neck and skull fractures. The plane made an emergency landing in Natal, Brazil, early Monday morning. Severe injuries from turbulence are rare, but this incident marks the second severe case in less than a month. In June, a 73-year-old man died after a Singapore Airlines flight dropped 6,000 feet in mere minutes, injuring over 70 people. On a lighter note, it's all smiles in Turkey today as the national team secured a spectacular 2-1 win against Austria. The team now advances to the quarterfinals of the Euros, and it was all thanks to Mary Demiral. We leave you with scenes of celebration from the team and their fans.